A deciding factor in the creation of the Euromaidan protest movement in the Ukraine was the wish of many citizens to move closer to the European Union. While important parts of the association agreement have entered into force, there are still a number of hurdles to be overcome before EU accession. After the Euromaidan and ahead of the new elections launched by the Ukrainian interim government during the Crimean crisis in March 2014, the European Union announced that it is pursuing in the long term a full membership of the Ukraine. Furthermore, the political part of the association agreement with the EU was signed on March 21, 2014.
We are practical people, we understand that we are not ready. And it probably is the matter of the future, and the future that we cannot predict even right now. So European integration and being a European in this country is highly irrational thing. So it's not about free trade. It's about ability to free travel, being free in choosing your future, being free, have all the freedoms, and so on, so on, so on.
Important representatives of the European Union have also repeatedly called for the lifting of visa requirements for Ukrainian citizens in EU countries. Nothing has happened yet. The economic part of the agreement did not enter into force at first because the responsible parties feared that the reaction of the Russian government would exacerbate the beginning conflict in the eastern Ukraine and later also in Crimea.
Wir sagen deutlich, durch die Sanktionen, die wir in Bezug auf die Krim verhängt haben und die wir in Bezug auf die Ostukraine verhängt haben, so geht es nicht. Wir sind nicht diejenigen, die das in irgendeiner Form rechtlich oder politisch akzeptieren werden. Und deswegen wird es keine Rückkehr zu normalen Beziehungen geben mit Russland, bevor das nicht bereinigt ist.
In order to directly aid the Ukraine financially, the EU gave the state virtually free access to the EU's internal market. In June 2014, representatives of the European Union and the Ukrainian government of the elected President Petro Poroshenko signed the complete association agreement, which was simultaneously adopted by the Verkhovna Rada and the EU Parliament in September of that same year. The European Union also supports the country on its road to the EU.
Wir sind gerade auch in den Bereichen Förderung der Rechtsstaatlichkeit und der Gesetzlichkeit sind wir sehr aktiv. Man tut nie genug. Man muss auch nicht denken, dass wir mit unseren Mitteln, ja, im Verwaltungsdeutsch sagt man dann im Wege der Ersatzvornahme das vornehmen, was die Ukrainer nicht können oder wollten. Das geht nicht.
The Ukraine is among the members of the so-called Deepened and Comprehensive Free Trade Zone ever since important economic contents of the agreement have gone into effect at the beginning of 2016. After all other EU members fully ratified the association agreement, the Netherlands alone have prevented final adoption of the agreement, through which all economic agreements would enter into force permanently. Whether the Dutch will change their stance is largely dependent on their elections to be held in early 2017.
There is a big deal of frustration among Ukrainians because of the visa-free regime, or let's say deliberation of this issue, or the postponement of decision on this issue. Of course, there is a frustration or dissatisfaction with the inability of European Union to phrase some perspective of the membership for Ukraine.
Russian President Vladimir Putin responded to the inception of important economic elements of the association agreement by terminating his own free trade zone with Ukraine. Putin had concluded the accompanying agreement in October 2011 with the current president Viktor Yanukovych in order to work towards establishing a Eurasian Union.
Ukrainians is suffering a lot because of Russian war and intervention of the Russian Federation, and of course they would love to see more assistance coming from international community in order to stop Russian aggression.
Euromaidan activist Pavlo Kalyuk has called for more support as well.
We need allies in general in external politics, because a lot of big players now involved especially after Crimea annexation.
The MEP believes, however, that most forces will not oppose a pro-European course with associated reforms.
Jetzt ist die Alternative in brutalstmöglicher Form sichtbar. Das ist die russische Besetzung der Krim und die Destabilisierung in der Ostukraine.
The dispute over the supply of gas to Ukraine by Russia is also being reignited. In the past few years, EU representatives have always been able to mediate an agreement in the Russian-Ukrainian gas dispute, but the relationship is not going well and hardly improving. MEP Gala is thinking about further steps.
Ja gut, man kann die Sanktionen auch immer weiter verstärken. Ich persönlich denke, man könnte sehr viel individuelle Personen dann noch mit einbeziehen. Ja, auf der einen Seite machen sie diese Politik, auf der anderen Seite sind sie fast drogensüchtig nach dem Westen. Sie haben ihr Geld in den Westen geschafft, nicht nur die Panama-Papiere, sondern sie kaufen sich ihre Apartments in London und ihre Yachten am Mittelmeer, haben ihre Frauen zum Einkaufen und ihre Kinder zum Studieren im Westen. Das ist ja schizophren.
That could be a way for the European Union to help Ukraine. But a great deal of hurdles have to be overcome for the country's accession to the EU, both within the country and in the European Union. In addition to the ongoing war in the eastern Ukraine, corruption in Ukrainian politics is also a serious obstacle. Moreover, the approval of accession negotiations is being complicated by the election of right-wing populist governments.
We are a European country, and the big part of the population here is really attached to the European values.
Moreover, the approval of accession negotiations is being complicated by the election of right-wing populist governments.